What it takes to be a better multimedia content creator. Are you aspiring to become a multimedia content creator? Or are you a teacher seeking to engage your students effectively, making learning as captivating as their favorite content? Or maybe you're a fellow multimedia student like I am. Come on in and let's dive into the fundamentals of becoming an effective multimedia content creator.
Multimedia content should engage the senses of the audience, but how do you achieve this balance?
Let's begin with learning the design principles when it comes to multimedia learning. What are multimedia design principles? Multimedia design principles are guidelines that help create effective instructional materials, using multiple forms of media such as text, images, audio, and video. Richard Mayer, an educational psychologist, developed the 12 principles of multimedia learning. His work focuses on how people's brains learn best from multimedia content. Mayer's principles are divided into 3 categories:
Principles for reducing extraneous processing,
principles for managing essential processing, and principles for fostering generative processing. First, let's look at the principles for reducing extraneous processing. These principles aim to minimize unnecessary cognitive load, starting with coherence principle. People learn better when extraneous material is excluded. It aims to avoid unnecessary graphics, sounds, and words that do not support the instructional goal.
Next is signaling principle.
People learn better when cues highlight the organization of the essential material. Use visual or auditory signals to draw attention to important information. Another one is redundancy principle. People learn better from graphics and narration than from graphics, narration, and on-screen text. Its goal is to avoid presenting identical information simultaneously in multiple formats. There is also spatial contiguity principle. People absorb the information and correlation better when corresponding words or texts are positioned closer to the related images. Aside from spatial, there is also temporal contiguity principle. People learn better when narration and graphics play simultaneously rather than successively. Next, let's look at the principles for managing essential processing, which focus on organizing and presenting essential information efficiently. First, under managing essential processing is the segmenting principle. People learn better when a multimedia lesson is presented in learner-paced segments, rather than as a continuous unit. So, break down information into smaller chunks. Next is pre-training principle. People learn better when they know the names and characteristics of key concepts. So, provide foundational knowledge before complex topics. For example, this video explains origins and main categories before specific principles. Third, under managing essentials is modality principle. People learn better from graphics with narrations than from graphics with on-screen text only. It leverages the brain's capacity to process auditory and visual info through separate channels, thereby enhancing understanding and retention. Finally, let's discuss the principles for fostering generative processing. These principles encourage deeper engagement and understanding. Let's talk about multimedia principle. Using concise phrases with pictures is more effective for learning than using big chunks of paragraphs alone or with complex visuals. Moving on to personalization principle. Talk as if you're talking to your audience. It means making your content sound conversational, not like you are reading a formal legal document. Next is voice principle. Studies show that audiences and learners prefer that your content sounds human rather than robotic. Schreibelmeyer and Macher, 2022. If you'll use AI for narration, try to find something as natural as me. Finally, we have image principle. This principle suggests that adding the speaker's image doesn't necessarily enhance learning. Sometimes it might even be distracting or overwhelming. That's why you won't see me on screen. Maybe you'll just look at my beauty. Just kidding. Before we talk about a bunch of how-tos, let's learn why multimedia content needs to remain relevant and effective. First, technology advancements. As tech keeps evolving, so do the tools we use to create and share content. Staying in the loop with these changes ensures your content stays fresh and easy to access. Next reason is changing user needs. Speaking of shifts in technology use, the same goes for how people prefer to learn. Regular updates based on user feedback and data analytics help you stay aligned with these changes. Third reason is there will always be diverse learning styles. There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to engaging audiences and learners. Different users have different learning preferences. You must offer contents in various formats and with options for interactive elements. This way, you can cater to a wider audience. Now here's a list on how to ensure relevance and effectiveness of multimedia content. First, use the Multimedia Design Principles by Richard Meyer. Second, ensure accessibility compliance, including those with disabilities, by following accessibility standards. Third, regularly update content so it reflects the latest information and trends. Fourth, implement user-generated content. This means encouraging users to contribute content, fostering engagement and diverse perspectives. Fifth, integrate cross-platform compatibility. Aside from designing for diverse audiences, you should also ensure your content functions well on various devices and platforms. Sixth, use gamification techniques. Who doesn't love a game? You can also amp up the engagement and motivation by adding game-like elements into the content. Seventh, focus on high-quality visual and audio production. Specifically, you can invest in professional-grade production to create visually appealing and clear audio content. Eighth, use proper licensing. Apply appropriate licenses to ensure legal compliance and respect intellectual property rights. But how can you do it? Let's tackle Creative Commons copyright license. In a world where information flows freely, Creative Commons licenses have become essential for both creators and users. These licenses offer a flexible way for creators to protect their work, while allowing others to use, share, and build upon it. Let's tackle the most basic one, CC-BY or attribution. Using this license allows others to use, remix, and build upon the original work however they like, even for commercial projects. They just have to remember to credit or attribute you as the creator. Next is CC-BY-SA or attribution share alike. Using this means allowing others to remix and build upon the work for any purpose, while ensuring that any new creations are shared under the same license terms. Then we have CC-BY-NC or attribution non-commercial. Now for this, you still allow others to remix and build upon the original work, however they have to keep it non-commercial. Plus, they should not forget to give credit where it's due. Now, it gets tougher. We have next is CC-BY-ND or attribution no derives. It's telling others that they can share the original work as is and to credit the creator. As is means no changes to your original work. After that, we have CC-BY-NCSA or attribution non-commercial share alike. This means allowing others to remix and build upon the work only for non-commercial projects. You also only allow others to share creations with the same license terms. Finally, the most restrictive among all licenses is CC-BY-NCND or attribution non-commercial, no derives. Using this means only allowing others to download and share the work for non-commercial use. But it also does not allow any modifications from the original work. Others must remember to respect the creator's wishes. Now that you know the types, let's dive deeper into its advantages and disadvantages. Let's start with the pros of using the licenses. First, increase visibility. Creative Commons licenses help you reach a wider audience by ensuring your name or brand stays attached to your work as it's shared and distributed. Second, it can foster collaboration. These licenses encourage respectful collaboration and sharing among creators, contributing to a culture of openness and creativity. Third, clear usage guidelines. With Creative Commons licenses, users know exactly how they can use and share your content, reducing misunderstandings and ensuring your work is used appropriately. So, what are the cons of using the licenses? First is potential revenue loss. When you use a license that restricts commercial use, there's a possibility that you may miss out on potential opportunities to monetize your creations. For instance, if you create a piece of music and license it under a non-commercial CC license, you cannot directly sell it to advertisers or companies for commercial purposes. Or it might be time-consuming for you to update all licenses of the work you want to sell. Second is the risk of misuse. There's always a risk that someone might misuse or misattribute your content. It can diminish your ability to control how your work is presented and perceived. This can discourage other creators from using CC licenses. Third is the complexity of compliance. Navigating compliance complexities can be challenging, especially for creators unfamiliar with copyright law or handling multiple licenses. Some CC licenses' attribution requirements can add further complexity, potentially discouraging creators from their use. Aside from the topics we dived into, multimedia theories are also worth exploring. As a multimedia content creator, learning multimedia theories can help you better understand your work, audience, and the industry. Two significant media theories that have greatly influenced me as a designer and a consumer are agenda setting theory and uses and gratification theory. Agenda setting theory taught me how strategically framed and prioritized topics can align with certain agendas or objectives. This awareness helps me as a consumer to critically assess media content and its influence. On the other hand, uses and gratification theory has shaped my approach to design. It emphasizes the importance of catering to the needs and preferences of consumers, motivating me to create content that resonates with my audience. There are many more theories to explore, fellow multimedia enthusiasts. Who knows? Maybe we'll dive more into it soon, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video informative and engaging. Until next time. This work is licensed under CC BY ND.